War leaves more than scars and medals behind. It leaves echoes, whispers that move through time, through steel, through the minds of those who dare to listen. Tonight, we're descending through the darkest corners of military history, where soldiers met something no weapon could stop. These are the 7 most chilling and documented paranormal stories from the military world. From ghostly experiments to haunted bases that never sleep. Prepare yourself, because not all soldiers who serve ever leave. Coming in at number 7, the Philadelphia experiment. In 1943, what started as a top-secret test became one of the most terrifying military legends in American history. According to whispers and classified rumors, the U.S. Navy conducted an experiment aboard the USS Eldridge. The goal? To make the ship completely invisible to enemy radar using powerful electromagnetic fields. Eyewitnesses at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard claimed they saw a strange greenish-blue haze envelop the vessel, right before it vanished into thin air. Minutes later, reports flooded in that the ship had reappeared hundreds of kilometers away in Norfolk, Virginia, before inexplicably returning to Philadelphia just as suddenly. When the Eldridge finally docked, the scene was a nightmare. Crewmen were said to be horrifically fused into the metal hull, screaming in agony. Others had disappeared entirely, and a few who survived were driven completely insane. The Navy, to this day, denies everything. No official documents exist. But survivors allegedly spoke of terrifying time lapses, accidental teleportation, and invisibility experiments gone horribly, horribly wrong. Whether it was a government cover-up or a sailor's myth, one truth remains. When you try to bend reality, sometimes reality bends back. Number 6 is the tragic story of Vivia Thomas, the soldier who died for love. Back in 1870, at Fort Gibson in what is now Oklahoma, a young woman named Vivia disguised herself as a man to enlist in the army. She was following her fiancé who had left her behind. But when she finally arrived, she discovered the unthinkable. He had found another woman. Consumed by heartbreak and fury, Vivia tracked him down on a stormy night and shot him dead near the fort's cemetery. The next morning, her own body was found, frozen at his grave, her pistol still clutched in her hand. Soldiers buried her near him, perhaps out of respect, or maybe out of fear. Soon after, night guards started reporting a shadowy figure in a soldier's uniform, weeping near that very same tomb. Those who dared to approach said they heard a soft whisper on the wind, "I'm sorry." To this day, visitors to Fort Gibson claim to hear a soldier crying softly among the gravestones. Some soldiers die in battle, others die in silence. But love, it seems, can turn even death into a lifelong duty. At number 5, we have the ghost troops of Kadena Air Base. Okinawa. Japan witnessed one of the bloodiest battles in human history. Tens of thousands of Japanese soldiers and civilians perished there. Decades later, American servicemen stationed at Kadena Air Base still whisper about the shadows that march at night. One military policeman, while patrolling the base perimeter, reported seeing a full column of Japanese soldiers silently marching across the grass. Their uniforms were tattered, their eyes were hollow, and when his headlights hit them, they vanished. At Maida Point, a cliffside area on the base, soldiers reported seeing ghostly women in white kimonos beckoning them toward the edge. One Marine nearly fell to his death after following the voice of what he thought was a local woman crying for help. The locals believe the very ground of Okinawa is so soaked in blood that the souls of the fallen never truly left. Some wars never end, and on certain nights in Okinawa, the troops are still on patrol. Number 4, the intruder who walked through walls at Fort Devens. Located in Massachusetts, Fort Devens housed thousands of soldiers and prisoners during World War II. In one particular building, Hale Hall, some eerie legends persist. One night, a guard spotted a tall figure moving through a restricted hallway. He shouted, but the figure didn't stop. Instead, it turned and walked straight through a solid wall. The terrified guard opened fire, 3 shots, all of them hitting nothing but concrete. The figure had vanished. Over the years, soldiers have reported hearing footsteps in empty corridors, seeing shadows pacing right through walls, and feeling sudden cold gusts of air pass right through them. They've even given the ghost a name, George. They say George died decades ago. But it seems someone still makes their rounds at Fort Devens, unseen and unstoppable. Our third story is the jet that started itself. During the Cold War, on a frosty morning at a classified U.S. Air Force base, a crew of airmen was preparing for routine maintenance on a KC-135 refueling jet. The aircraft's auxiliary power unit, or APU, was completely shut down, disconnected, and tagged as inactive. Suddenly, with no one inside the cockpit, the massive engines roared to life. Technically, this is impossible. Starting the APU requires multiple manual steps: circuit breakers, fuel valves, and ignition switches. None of them had been touched. Adding to the mystery, the security footage from that hangar mysteriously went missing. Mechanics checked every single system, but found absolutely nothing wrong. Some said it was a freak glitch, a random surge of electricity, but others whispered it was the ghost of a pilot who was killed in a crash years before, in a plane with the exact same tail number painted on that very jet. Machines don't start themselves, unless, of course, someone unseen still knows how to fly. At number 2, we have the Ghost March of Fort Sill. Located in Oklahoma, Fort Sill has long been a place of death, surrounded by Native American burial grounds and the graves of fallen soldiers. In the early 1990s, a family living near the base reported seeing hundreds of spectral soldiers marching down the main road at 2 a.m. Their uniforms were from a different era, the Civil War, and their formation was perfectly silent. The witness tried to film it, and the footage reportedly showed translucent figures walking into the darkness, before her husband, terrified, deleted it. Base officials dismissed it as a hallucination or stress, but the local police received 3 separate calls that same night, all describing the exact same event. Who gives orders to the dead? And why do they still march long after the bugle's last call? And our number 1 most disturbing military story, the Phantom of Vandenberg Barracks. At Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, there's one dormitory room with a reputation so dark that new recruits refuse to sleep there. It began in 1971, when a young airman was assigned the empty room. Within a week, he started complaining about hearing whispers and footsteps when he was alone. One night, he woke to see a man in uniform standing at the foot of his bed, pale and motionless. The next morning, the airman's belongings were found stacked neatly outside the room. No one admitted to moving them. Every occupant since has reported similar experiences: disembodied voices, shadows pacing, and beds shaking violently in the middle of the night. Maintenance crews once found the words, "Help me," scratched beneath the paint on the inside of the door. Rumor has it that a soldier took his own life in that room in the 1950s, and that even now, the temperature inside stays 5 degrees colder than the rest of the building. The door is still locked. The room is still empty. But sometimes when the lights go out, someone still breathes inside. From love turned to murder, to ghosts that still march in formation, these stories remind us that war doesn't end when the guns go quiet. It lingers, in the minds of survivors, and in the spirits of the lost. Maybe what these soldiers saw were just hallucinations, tricks of a tired mind. Or maybe, just maybe, they witnessed what waits for us all beyond duty and death. One thing's for certain, on every base, in every battlefield, there's always something, or someone, still watching. Thanks for watching. If you want to explore more true dark mysteries from the military world, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll see you in the shadows.